Welcome to the Monday Shit Show,
where real-ass conversations live.
and filters come to die.
I'm Yvette,
And I'm Jamie,
two women with totally different stories.
but one thing in common,
We've been through some shit.
and lived to laugh about it. From addiction to eating disorders,
Motherhood to menopause.
we are not here to fix you.
We are here to let you know
We see you. And most importantly,
you matter. Hey guys, welcome to the Monday Shit Show. And we're here to just talk about some shit.
That's
And
it.
I want to tell you about my friend Jamie. For so long, she's like, we need a podcast. And I was like, what are we going to talk about? So tell me, Jamie, what are we talking about?
I have no fucking idea, but I know we have a lot of it to discuss. Whatever it is, we have a lot to talk about.
Okay.
So we're just going to go into it.
Okay. And what is it we're trying to bring to people?
A sense of belonging, a sense of identity, because I think a lot of people, especially women, lose their identity at some point, you know, between their 30s and their 60s, they lose who they are. And you know, addiction, eating disorders, everything we say, motherhood, menopause, all these things, right? That people don't want to talk about.
Yeah.
People don't want to talk about this stuff. Why?
Right.
Why don't we, why? We have to look good, be the best mom, own a business, perfect skin, have your nails done. What the fuck? What is this? How
Yeah.
are we supposed to? And we're supposed to do it with no help. So
Yeah.
we shouldn't get plastic surgery,
Yeah.
but we should look
Yeah.
perfect and look young.
Yeah.
We have to be skinny, but we can't use weight loss
Yeah.
meds. Like
Yeah.
all these things that
Yeah.
are just so taboo. And I just want to say, let's fucking shatter that shame. Let's talk about it and let's get it out there and make people feel like, oh man, me too. Like I know what that feels like. And it's okay for me to talk about it.
Me Too was a movement too. Remember
was a
that? That
movement.
was a movement. But you know what? I love it. It's unfiltered and it's raw and it's talking about things that people have a lot of shame about. I know personally I've had a lot of shame about being in recovery, and now I recover out loud, because anyone who's out there suffering with like taking Adderall during the day and then taking freaking Xanax to go to sleep and then drinking wine to get relief, I've been there, and there's so much shame in that
Yeah.
that I think it's important to talk about it. And eating disorders, I stuck my head in a fucking toilet bowl
Same.
from the age of 14 to 45 fucking years old.
insane.
Tried all the things, and now I just want, and that's shameful.
It's so
Like
shameful.
people shit in there, and I'm putting my head there. That's not so nice, you know?
It's not so nice.
But I think it's important to talk about it, especially as mommies too, with
Yeah.
a young girl. I
Yes.
have a girl. We're going to talk
Yes.
about all the things.
I want my daughter to know that, and she knows this because I fucking nailed it into her head so hard, that when she's going through something, I want to be there for her. Even if you're embarrassed to tell me, even if you think I'll be mad at you, I'm going to show up for you and we can discuss it later. But I am always going to have your back, no matter what. No matter what, I have your back. I am your biggest fan. And I remember, and I think I told you this, you know, when I was in active alcoholism and drug addiction, I would have much rather got into a car with somebody who was drinking and driving or under the influence of anything than call my mom and say, you know, I was at a party and I fucked up. No, I'd risk my life.
Yep.
I mean, I didn't even think about it. I
Yep.
would much rather risk my life, because the shame I felt for
Yeah.
doing something that was wrong, right? Let's stop with the shame. Like
Yeah.
everybody fucks up in life. It's
Yeah.
okay. It's okay
Yeah.
to fuck up in life. It's okay to say, you know what? I started going down this path and it's not for me, and I'm going to reroute. I'm going
Yeah.
to pivot.
Pivot.
And I'm going to completely change what I'm
Yes.
doing. And that's great. And let's talk about it. Let's talk about how we did it.
Yeah.
And hopefully there's somebody out there, you know, that's struggling with any of the things that we've struggled with. And if we can help one person, right?
Right.
It's worth it.
You know what I always say? HOPE is an acronym for help one person every day.
I love
Because it's not about helping 2 million people.
It isn't.
But if one person, like I grew up in a very, very strict European household. You know, I didn't have friends come over here. We're immigrants. We came from Spain. And like no one was allowed in my house. I wasn't allowed to wear makeup.
That's
And
wild.
I would get on the bus and put like blue eyeshadow and change into
'Cause you're
sisters.
rebelling.
Yeah, I was just, but everything had to be under wraps. And my first rehab was at 14 years old, and everybody on the street Yvette went to Spain. No, I was in fucking rehab.
I did not know that.
Anorexic, 68 pounds. But it was taboo to talk about it. You know, it was taboo. So I, like you, tell my daughter, mental health is the most important thing.
Most
And no
important.
matter what you go through, you don't lie about it. You talk about it, release the shame, and get help.
It's so hard when you're in the middle of it. It's so hard when you know, it's funny. First of all, because I struggled with food my whole life. And I call it disordered eating, although it was eating disorders, but I never could get any of them right. Like I
Tell me about that.
I
Tell me about
remember
that.
being like, why can't I just be anorexic? Like, why can't I do this? Like, my willpower is not strong enough. Like, I would have been jealous. Like, how does this bitch not eat?
Right.
And so I would go from not eating for a long period of time, taking those stacker twos, right? I
Oh
would
my
take 2 stackers. I
God.
wouldn't eat for a while, but then they would stop working. So then I'd be binging and then throwing up. And it was just this vicious cycle. So I was never in one because I couldn't get any of them right.
But
So
how long did you, when did you start that? And when did you stop?
Oh God, I think I took my first stacker pill at like 14 or 15. My old best friend Mary's brother gave them to us. Remember, they were legal. They were sold at like
Yep.
Milltown convenience,
Yep.
like over the
7-Eleven.
counter. And I was
Yep.
like, oh my God,
Yep.
this is great. Gave me energy. Wasn't hungry. I'm losing weight.
Yep.
We're in high school now. I
Yep.
was chubby as a freshman. Sophomore year, I was all gone, all thanks to stackers, right?
And did you get the accolades from the boys and the
Of course,
girls?
everybody
and
makes you
oh
feel,
my God.
and your family.
Yeah.
Like, you know, my grandma would, I remember, and my grandma's 90, almost 91 in a nursing home, and she's my biggest fan. I love her to death. But, you know, she would, at one point, paid me $1 a pound to lose.
Wow. Wow.
She gave me money to lose weight. And that's how I grew up thinking. Like, you know, you need to be thin. Like, this is what you should be.
That is so crazy. Just think about that, how sad that is.
It's sad. It's sad that she lived her whole life thinking that.
That's
you know,
exactly
like, at
it.
least we got out of it.
Yep. But
Right.
you only know what you know.
That's it.
That's what I say. My parents did the best with what they knew.
Absolutely.
But there was so much shame for them growing up,
Of
and we never
course.
talked about things.
Of course.
You know, so this is just, I'm trying to break that cycle.
I always talk about breaking the cycle. I always talk because my father, he's passed away now from COVID, unfortunately, but he had 7 brothers and sisters, and all of them had something, an eating disorder, an addiction, alcoholism, all of them except for him, of course. That got passed on to me, and my grandma was, did she say she was an alcoholic? I don't know, but she drank a lot, right?
Right.
She still drinks in the nursing home. She's got gallons of vodka there. They're only allowed to give her 2 cups a day. Fine, whatever she wants to call it, right? But so I was active, obviously, in alcohol and drugs, and I got sober, and I just feel like I broke that cycle. You know, I'm the one who broke that cycle for my family, and Lexi knows, like, you're not going to get anything by me, bitch. Like, that's not going to happen. So you could go out and you could drink, and I'm never going to say you can't try weed or you can't try alcohol, because that's her life to live.
Yep.
And I don't want to be, I don't want her to be afraid to come to me if she does want to try it. Right. Like, that's where I think the cycle needs to change with me. That yes, you're probably going to want to experience things, and I just want you to know it's safe to call me anytime. I'm going to pick you up no matter what.
Right. What period of your life did you start going from the eating disorder to the drugs and alcohol? And how did that progress?
It was the same, you know, it was the same. It was the same time. 16 is when I took my first drink, and it was just like, it made you feel so, out there, right? Like,
did it make you feel like I don't have to think about food now?
Like, when I was drinking, but it also made me feel not guilty when I was eating.
Right, because you have no inhibitions.
Nobody cared.
Right.
Nobody cared.
So it all went together, those 3 addictions, drugs,
and my anxiety. I mean, it was all the same time. Like, I, as a kid, used to go in 2nd grade to the nurse every week, and my mom would have to come pick me up because I had a stomach ache. And my mom, to this day, still doesn't say it was anxiety, but now Lexi suffers with it. It was anxiety.
Right.
My stomach didn't hurt. I didn't know how to voice what I was going through.
Right. And they didn't talk about it back then. They didn't talk about it. So when did you say, what addiction did you say I need to take care of first? And how did you go about that process?
It was alcoholism, for sure.
The first one?
Well, my mom put me in rehab for ecstasy when I was like a teenager, but I was still smoking weed and drinking, like, and she put me there, right? So it wasn't, it was like an outpatient.
But it was the beginning.
It was the beginning, I guess. But then, you know, I knew that I had to get sober. I had to get sober.
At what age?
I finally got sober at 25, because I'll have 15 years in October.
Wow.
How much time do you have?
I'm going to have 22. Yeah. So Jamie and I are 15 years apart.
I'm going to be 40.
And I'm going to be 55. We're Geminis,
we're
both
about
of
a week
us,
apart.
And it's just so crazy that there's such an age difference, but such the same feelings.
Absolutely.
You know, that's the thing about identifying with somebody when however you decide to get sober, it's not about the drug. It's about the feelings.
It's about
the feelings.
feelings.
It's not like, well, I never got a DUI and I never went to Rikers Island and no, but did you feel like a piece of shit every day? Did you not like to look at yourself?
Did you ever get to that cross point where you're like, you can't live with it or you can't live without it?
Oh my
because
God.
I've been at that place, and it's not just about addiction, right? It's about food. It's about your job. It's about your spouse. There's so many times where you're like, I can't fucking do this anymore.
When was that day for you?
For alcohol? For which fucking day?
For
Because I've had
alcohol.
so many.
For alcohol.
alcohol. So I had kind of a long story. Let's see if I can wrap it up quickly. I was in my mom's shower, what I know as detoxing now, because I was sitting in the shower, which I often did to like relax. But I was turning like convulsing and turning red, and I didn't have the perfect amount of Adderall or vodka in me. So that's what would happen to my body. I didn't know what it was, but I remember praying to God to either die or for my mom to find out so that I can get out of this. Because I would have rather died than went to my mom and said, Mom, I have a problem. And that's where the shame takes you, right? Like I just felt so ashamed of what I had become. And she said to me, not a couple days later, I was literally coming home at 5 a.m. just to change clothes because I was out doing God knows fucking what,
Yeah.
right? And I said, I'm going to so-and-so's house. And she said, whatever. And my mom was not like that. She was like, where are you going? What
Yeah,
time are you going to,
yeah.
very on top of
Yeah.
me. And she said, if you don't want to get help, and this was the first time we really addressed that it had gotten this bad. If you don't want to get help, I don't want to know anything anymore. And I was like, okay, I'll get help. And I remember sitting on her couch and looking out the window and just feeling this complete sense of peace that I didn't know how, but everything was going to be okay. And I had nothing. I was collecting quarters for Adderall at this point. I mean, I had nothing.
And you were 25.
I was 25.
And
We
living
went
at
to a
home.
meeting that night. Yep.
And you
We went
were living at
We
home.
went to a meeting that night. And I
Is that how you got
that.
sober? You
Yep.
you didn't get a 28-day detox,
Nope.
nothing? Just walked into a meeting.
Just walked into a meeting and got honest with myself and the people around me. A lot of people get sober and they're like, I don't want to, please don't say I'm an alcoholic. Or like people
Yeah.
that come to my weight loss,
Yeah.
please don't say I'm on the weight.
Yeah.
For me, everything I have to do, everyone has to know.
Yeah.
I can't hide that part. I'm not willing to live in the shame anymore.
Mhm.
So if you don't accept me for the way that I am, that I'm an alcoholic and I'm not going to have a drink at your wedding,
Mhm.
I don't give a fuck. That ain't going. That's
Mhm.
fine.
Mhm.
There's plenty of people in this world. I'm not going to let
Yeah.
you ruin me. You know what I mean?
You have to face yourself.
Yeah.
You have
What
to
about
face
you?
yourself.
What was your
So for me,
final moment? Final moment.
So for eating disorders and drug and alcohol was very different. So first of all, for me, I was anorexic, and then you cannot, the gig is up. Like you cannot starve yourself anymore. And so you get hungry. And so then I started to be bulimic.
Right.
And then the anorexia I didn't have the willpower anymore. I always wanted to just be anorexic. Like I've been
It's
to
like
so
on a pedestal.
Yes, it's like, how do these girls do it? 5 calories for equal, 7 for gum, 0 for Diet Coke. Like I still remember everything. But then the bulimia went for me full force. Like I used to throw up in college like 14, 15 times a day.
That's insane.
I ate. I went to every McDonald's, every buffet, every freaking place. And then I would know the bathrooms. And Jamie, I could be sitting on the toilet. You'd think I'm sitting on the toilet, but I could actually turn my body and throw up with my feet facing forward. So the person
So people
next
couldn't
to me,
see your feet underneath.
and you wouldn't even be able to hear it.
Did you have to stick your fingers down your throat at the
Yep.
end? You still had to.
I did have to stick my fingers. So then in college is when I really started drinking and drugging, and that took away the food noise.
Right. Because
For the first time in my
Right.
life, I didn't think about calories. And then I got into the nightlife, bartending, whatever. And one day I got out of the shower and I had a Budweiser can, and I'll never forget it. And I was living in an apartment with no furniture, just a mattress on the floor. And I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, fuck you. And I gave my own self the fucking finger.
You hated yourself.
I hated myself. And I said, you know what? I'm going to get help. And then I went to an outpatient rehab. I've been
You
to
checked yourself in.
my work. They said, if you don't, either you get help or you're fired. And so I went, and it was outpatient. I had been to like 9 rehabs before.
But none of
Inpatient.
them worked.
None of them worked
for you.
because
You
now
weren't ready?
I
Why
wasn't-
didn't they work?
the gig was up. Like there was no more friends. There was no more family members. There was no more money.
You were finally just at the bottom.
I had been homeless, and it wasn't enough for me. But this was like, I knew someone. It wasn't my dad paying for rehab. This was the work establishment saying, we are giving you a get out of jail card. Take it. And I knew if I didn't take this, there's no more chances.
Yeah.
Because I would get a couple of months, but then Friday would come. I would always be stuck in the cycle.
You
because
relapsed a lot?
a lot. People, places, and things.
Always.
Always. I could be good from Monday to Thursday. I don't have a problem. Friday, I'm going to go out. I'm not going to drink. Oh, duels, blah, fuck it. I'm drinking.
Right.
Call somebody, get a bag. And that was, so for me, my last drink was when I was 30 years old. I had 3 years sober. Now I'm still messing around a little bit with bulimia, but it's getting better because I'm
Okay.
using the tools that I learned in the recovery meetings to help me with my bulimia. And now I'm married. I'm three years sober. I'm at this graduation party with this red Solo cup, 7 months pregnant. And I'm like, oh my God, Solo cups, no one's gonna know. And I put wine instead of like the soda in the Solo cups, and 7 months pregnant, and I was off to the races. I went to the bathroom trying to find the Coke dealer's phone
Of course
number.
you did. Of course you did.
And that night I came home and I told my sponsor the next morning, she's like, you have to tell Dave that you drank and you have to go
Your ex-husband.
back to a meeting and raise your hand. I'm like, oh fucking way am I
No
doing
fucking
that?
way.
No fucking way. Because I'm like Miss Recovery and I'm involved and I have sponsor.
Yep.
And the next day I raised my hand in a meeting and said, I'm coming back. And the
And you're
shame,
7 months pregnant.
like, so God gave me that so that I can realize how powerful, if you could do that with a baby in your body, there's no holds bar.
Right.
And that for me, I never drank since that day. And that's 22 years ago, coming
That's
up on
fucking
22.
amazing, though.
Yeah. And then the eating disorders, I stopped at the age of 45. So here I am, this fitness professional with my 8-pack, my biceps, looking good, having this secret, teaching these group fitness classes. You got to eat this, you got to eat
Right.
at night.
Right.
And that, like, it gave me this imposter syndrome. I hated myself.
What was the final moment?
So one day, my daughter was in school, and I would, like, between the hours of 12 to 2, I'd be done with work and I'd be home alone. So this is like, like I had a fucking pancakes, like 30 pancakes, you know, the syrup, the butter was so fucking good, right? And I eating. And then I go to the bathroom, and this time it was like my eyes, the blood vessels blew up and I couldn't swallow. Like I literally threw up and I couldn't swallow. I was going to call the ambulance. And I just said, please, God, I will stop. And I
made a
started to
promise to God.
swallow. I did. I started to calm down. I could finally swallow again. I thought I was going to die on that bathroom floor. And then I went to a Tony Robbins convention because I was like, I had this in my head that if I went to this seminar, something would click. And then Tony Robbins had like 15,000 people, I'll never forget, in Dallas, Texas. And he did this like hypnotism. And he said, if you keep doing the same behavior that you're doing now, where will you be in 5 years? And all I said was, my daughter's going to be at my grave saying,
God.
it doesn't have to be this way, Mom. I knew I would die. And that hypnotism of me seeing my children at the grave saying, like, it could have been different, Mom. That's it. That was the end. And I've done all the things to try and get better, but that's why I say you never stop trying, because you never know when you're going to hear it.
You never know when it's going to click. You never know when it's going to click.
Never.
Oh
And
my
so
God.
now I'm 55. It's going to be 10 years.
That's amazing. Do you celebrate it like a day?
No, I don't
You
celebrate.
don't. I don't celebrate that. I don't celebrate when I quit gambling. And I don't even really celebrate, but I only like remember my alcoholism day. And why is that? Because that's
I guess
so incredible.
it's so incredible because you cannot quit throwing up.
Correct.
You cannot quit anything unless your mind is clear.
No, but what about the fact that alcohol and drugs we can put away? Gambling just stopped going. Food, we got to take that. We got to do that every fucking day for the rest of our life.
Food addiction
So
with women,
hard.
and they don't want to say they're food addicts, but let me tell you, if you're 100 pounds overweight, it's not the food.
Right.
There's something else.
Yeah.
This is your coping mechanism.
Right.
Just like some people do shopping or porn or
Yeah.
gambling. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
There is no shame in food addiction. Everyone's got their thing, but there is help.
Right.
There is help if you're willing to think differently. The one thing, the biggest lesson of my life is food is not the answer.
Yeah. But you take it to the extreme a little bit.
I take it to the extreme.
A lot of it.
I don't mess around with one Oreo because it's all going down. I'm going to go for the whole sleeve pancakes and I'm going to stick my head in.
You don't know that.
I know
You
myself.
do food the way you do alcohol and drugs.
Yep.
And I can't do that. I'm completely opposite. And I think that we're both.
How do you do it?
I, first of all, take a GLP-1 medication that changed my life.
Okay.
You know, I went to my doctor and said, I have a problem. I diet all week and I have the macros and I'm everything and I'm perfect. And then, Sunday comes and I have 20,000 calories. And something is wrong with me. Something is fucking wrong with me.
Yeah.
I'm black and I'm white and I can't be in between and my weight's constantly yo-yoing and that's so bad for you, by the way.
Yeah.
The yo-yo, right? And I'll never forget. He said, Jamie, you're not bad enough. I said, where can I go? Like, I'm just looking for help at this point because I know that there's help out there because I've got sober from drugs and I've got sober from alcohol. And I'm like, all right, somebody will help me. Let me go to my doctor.
But you didn't look sick. You didn't look super anorexic or
Nothing.
super overweight.
I didn't
So
look
it's like,
anything.
you're not bad enough.
He just said, you're not bad enough. You're not,
Right.
you're not. And I said, there's got to be a way. So I dug into the research myself. And this was when Ozempic was first coming out.
Okay.
And I remember, being so again, there's no way I'm taking a needle. There's no fucking way. And then I got it and I was like, first of all, there was not sweet relief like it was with drugs and alcohol. It was not sweet relief. I was sick, but I was well enough to not have the food noise. So I felt nauseous for a few days after my shot every week. So if I took it on Monday, I was sick till Thursday every fucking week, but I still didn't have the food noise. And it was the first time since I can remember where my mind stopped obsessing about food. And it wasn't always obsessing about bad food. It was sometimes obsessing about
Macros.
the calorie gum or whatever.
Yeah.
It was just an obsession. And I was like, oh my God, I'm free. Right. So I now take
Immediately?
basically pretty soon.
Wow.
I would think about it, but I wouldn't want to do it. Like if I was like, I could go for something like, I don't really want it. It took a little bit of time for my mind to catch up with what was going on. But yeah, it was pretty immediate. And I was like, this has changed my life and I need to tell the world about this. Like, and so now I take my GLP-1 medication. I've been at my goal weight for a really long time now. I've thrown away the scale. I don't give a fuck what I weigh. I weigh about 140. On some days I weigh 143, on some days I weigh 137, and it doesn't control me anymore because for years I woke up and stepped on the scale and what it said determined the type of day I was going to have.
Oh my God.
I would wake up in the best mood. Step on, I'm 142 instead of 137. That's it.
It's okay.
It's a terrible day.
Yeah.
And I'd go off to the races in the bad way because, well, I'm 142 now. I might as well fucking.
Yeah.
Who
I might as
cares?
well go to 50.
But I'm at 137. Oh, I'm going to go to the gym.
Yeah,
I feel
yeah,
good. Look at me. Let me dress cute.
Yeah.
Right? No more. No more. And so the way I control my eating now is I try to eat healthy. I meal prep a lot, but I also eat what I want. And I'm okay
You don't
with it.
deprive.
Yep, never. And I think that I have room to grow in that area. Like when I went away for panic disorder, which is another story, I learned a lot about CBT. And just because you feel like you want something doesn't mean that you need to have it, right? And so I think because I've been so restrictive my whole life, on and off with the restriction, that I do this now to sort of prove to myself that food's not going anywhere. So yeah, if you want an Oreo, have one. And if you want to go back and get another one, it's there. So it's almost proving to myself. But now being a few years out, I think there's room for me to say like, yeah, I want ice cream, but I'm not going to have it.
Right.
I think there's room for that when I'm ready. I'm not in a race.
Right.
I'm in it for the long haul. This isn't a diet anymore. There's no more trend that's happening, right? I'm not on the low carb, the Mediterranean.
Do you miss that?
No.
You don't miss that? Like, okay, I got a new shiny over here.
No,
And
I don't fucking miss any of that.
No.
I don't miss the drama. God, that crazy diet I was on where they gave you packets of food that you had to like mix with water. That's the one.
Astronaut food.
It was the skinniest I ever was. So I do have to shout out that you do get real skinny, but gain it all back plus way more.
Yeah.
And lose so much muscle mass.
Yeah.
You can't possibly be lifting weights and be on Optavia because your body has nothing in it.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Your fitness regime. You're 40 years old. You're going to be 40 years old.
Bitch.
Almost. Okay.
39 and 3
June
quarters.
7th. Okay. And so, and you've lost the weight. You're at the ideal weight you're at. What does your day-to-day consist of with working out?
I try to get to the gym and I do still track on my phone my workouts, but I don't track my workouts. I just like to see when I've went because I like to prove to myself, like all of these days are days that I've like went to the gym and red means I did weightlifting and blue means I walked on the treadmill and yellow's Pilates. And it's because when I'm feeling shitty or I feel like I've missed a few days because work got busy or motherhood got busy, I can look back and say, well, last month you went 15 times. So let's fucking calm it down, bitch. Like sometimes I have to have that conversation with myself.
Yes.
Like 4 days, not going to matter in the long haul.
Not gonna matter.
It's the consistency that matters. So I literally record this for the days that I'm down.
Fucking genius.
Yeah, it is.
Because you're celebrating the win.
That's it.
The win,
You
right?
have to.
Yes.
Because not every days are going to be winning days.
Okay.
Like your post today was
Yep.
never miss a Monday.
Yep.
Guess who missed this Monday? And I can't do it all.
Yeah.
And you know what? But guess what? I'm going to go on Wednesday. I
Yeah.
went on Sunday. It's fine.
Yeah.
And
It's
now,
fine.
you know, I used to go to be skinny.
Yeah.
I used to go to be skinny, and
Yeah.
now I go to be strong. And I go because I want to be able to live a healthy older life, you know,
Yeah.
when I'm 60 and 70. And I don't want to be like my grandma who's in a wheelchair that's literally can't do anything.
Okay.
I don't want to be that.
Yeah.
I want to be active if Lexi has kids and I'm a grandma, and I
Yep.
want to be able to stand up and sit
Yep.
down and do all those things.
Like your mom.
Right.
She's got that energy. Because honestly, age is just a number, and it's your energy that reveals your age.
Correct.
Because I know 40-year-olds that look like you and if I can have great energy. And I know 40-year-olds that have given it up, have wearing the moo top, the hair in the bun. They're not going out. They're not in pictures. They do not get in a
But I feel so bad.
It's
for them.
horrible.
It's so bad.
It's
How do we
so-
get them out of that?
How do you get them out of that? They need to find their worth outside of being the identity of a mom or a worker or this, because they have nothing for themselves.
But yeah, it's so sad.
Autopilot, head down. I got to go to soccer. Then I got to go here. And then I have this. And they don't even think for once. That's why when you say GLP-1, for so many women, if it could just even be a start
Yeah.
to say,
A lot of
hey,
people do it as a start. They're
I
like, I
can-
just need a starter.
I just need to not feel like shit and know that maybe I can do it for a week, then builds to 2 weeks, to 2 months, to 2 years.
Right.
You know,
Right.
It doesn't have to be forever. For you, you've decided it's forever.
Yeah. I mean, I would never, I take my Lexapro for my anxiety. I ain't never coming off of that. Well, I might when I start on the hormones, but that's another conversation. But I take that for my anxiety, right? That suppresses it. And I take GLP-1 for my food noise.
Awesome.
I flew to Mexico to get Ozempic. Just so you know.
Wow.
Like that's how fucking, it was not here because there was that crisis going on.
Yeah.
And I flew to Mexico to get my meds because I'm like, I need this.
Yeah.
I can't go down that path again.
Right.
You know, but yeah, this is a lifetime. This is forever for me. And I don't really care. People say, what about all the long-term side effects? What about the side effects of being a lunatic about food for 90 years?
Yeah.
Those side
That's
effects.
it. So when I think of when you're talking about that, I feel like the visual is like handcuffs. Like to be
Yes.
free out of the handcuffs of food. That is like so many of my clients, I'm a trainer and they'll say to me, I've been on a diet since 1985.
Yeah.
And they're bigger than they've ever been.
Because every time you diet, it's harder the next time, right? Your body says, we're starving.
Yeah.
So we're going to hold on to everything because
Yep.
we don't know when she's going to do this to us again.
Yep.
And so every time it gets harder. Every time. And people don't get that.
And every time you give up on yourself, it's like, fuck it, it doesn't work anyway. And so then you gain the 10 pounds and then you're like back at square zero. I think it's so good that you just said Lexapro and GLP-1 is what you need to keep your mind right.
Right.
Because it's different for everyone.
Right.
It's 100% different.
Right.
You know?
Right. Right.
So for me, my weight training and my life is so different than yours. Like Jamie has everything. She does a little bit of everything. I don't do that. I kind of live much more in a prison.
You are
but
in a box, but that's what works for you.
But I don't believe it's a prison. People say, oh my God, I want arms like you, but I'm not willing to do what you do. But to me, like weight training, it's not, I didn't get to the gym. It's like, if I don't do it, my mental health is fucked up, legit. Like I'm not there to wear the cute Jimmy girl out. I don't care if I'm in my basement with my hoodie up. It's the only thing I know that makes me feel better. Guaranteed 100% like a line of cocaine.
You know what's
every time.
interesting? And I wonder if this is why I need to get on hormones. It doesn't make me feel better lifting weights. And I've heard that a lot. Dr. Tina Moore, who I follow and have studied under, says that there's something wrong with your adrenals. You should feel good after you work out. And I don't. It's like I just check it off my list.
Yeah.
It's like I have to do it because I have. It's like when you said, I said, why do you drink a gallon of water? You're like, I don't fucking know. I just do it.
Right.
That's why I weight train. I don't fucking know because I have to do it. I feel like I have to do it.
So that's a sign that there's something wrong.
Something's wrong. So I'm going to get that checked.
Yeah.
I'm going to get that checked.
So for me, that's a big pillar for me is mental health, is working out and then following. It's not a strict diet. It's a diet that works for me. Like, that's why I say, when people say, well, you give me a diet, I don't give diets.
Yeah.
I can give you some guidelines, but keto might work for someone and intermittent fasting might work for someone else. What works for me is I eat when I'm hungry and I eat foods that feel good in my body.
But don't you ever just want a fucking pancake?
But no, I don't want a pancake, but I'll have like a little bit of ice cream or chocolate. And
What did you tell me about the 3 bites?
3 bites and I'm done.
No, you told me.
You're satisfied.
1 bite is something.
Yep.
2 bites is what you told me. Some little saying you have. And 3 bites is just drama or something you said. I don't know what you said, but I remember you told me when I first started coming to you.
Because I think it was like Oprah who said after 4 bites, you're full. Everything else after that is you're looking for relief. You're looking for getting out of depression. You're looking for something because you're bored. But four bites of a brownie will fulfill you. Right? But we want the brownie and then we want the bread and then we want the alcohol.
I'll tell you something that I do that I've learned, through all of this is that I get the little ice creams. They're this big, the Haagen-Dazs, Ben and Jerry's. And you're right. I feel great after them. I feel perfectly fine after them. But I have to tell myself, there's more in the freezer. So if you finish this and you want more, you're an adult. A great thing about being an adult, and it's one of my favorite things about being an adult. I can eat whatever I want in the morning, night, after. I can wake up and have fucking chicken parm. I don't have to follow anybody's guidelines. I can drive right out to the store and get whatever I want. And it's the same thing with food. Like if you take a little portion of something and you want more, and you're an adult, you can fucking get it. That's it.
And you don't have to beat yourself up about it.
Right.
But that's what I do for my mental health. And with working out, it's like very regimented. And for my recovery, like we're very different. How do you do your recovery?
I don't do it. It's terrible. I don't do a recovery. I have no network of recovery. I have no sponsor. I have nothing. And
do you ever desire a drink or a drug?
No.
So you think it's been lifted?
Well, sometimes I desire a drug.
I do.
Sometimes I think, and again, I think this goes back to my hormones being off. There's like a few days right before I'm getting my period that I just feel down. Everything is fabulous in life. It's the same situation as it was yesterday when I was in a good mood, but I wake up and I feel like shit. And I've said to my therapist before, I was like, I had a great idea that I was going to go do Molly at some, that's what I tell her. I never got to do it, and I'm pissed about it. I got sober before it came out. I love ecstasy. Now we have the pure version. I'm pissed. I'm pissed that I never got to do it. So I thought I would go do it. Maybe I'll just do it one time. My therapist brought me right back down to reality, saying, you can't do that. Okay, fine.
Okay, so you have a therapist.
I don't go to her anymore. I stop in here and there.
Okay. All right. Do you journal?
No.
Do you read? Do you podcast? You work. Work is your outlet.
I don't know if it's an outlet, but so then this is my belief, right? This is just my opinion. I believe that when you're an addict, in any regime, it's always in you. I don't care how many meetings you go to. I don't care what you do. I think it's always in you. And I think it's about finding a channel to release that energy. And so for you, my opinion is it's lifting weights.
Absolutely.
And for me, right now, because it's constantly changing, it's building my business.
Yes.
So I'm obsessed about it.
Yes. And I'm obsessed about fitness.
Right. And that's okay.
It's a replacement habit.
It's a replacement.
100%.
And I'm okay with that. And people will say, why are you just addicted to work? Well, Fish, what do you want me to be? Should we go back to the ecstasy cocaine? Or can we make money off of this at least? And that just brings me back to the gambling. I was in that gambling world for many, many years. It's where I met my ex-husband. But I just told myself, you're making money at it. You're not hurting anyone. So it's okay. And, gambling's like eating because you can look good on the outside. When you're drinking and drugging and anorexic, right? The whole fucking world knows that.
You're a meth head, man. You
didn't know. But gambling, you can hide that. And so it's one of those addictions that you really have to be careful with because you can get into a lot of trouble really easily. And thank God it never got that far from me. And thank God I went to AA for all those years and I learned.
So you did go to recovery meetings.
Oh, I was Miss AA for years. For years, of course.
So this is important to share.
Absolutely.
So it was what got you sober.
AA and then saved my life.
Okay, how many years did you do it? And then now you don't do it?
2.5 or 3.
Okay, so that's just good. So our stories are different. I am really into recovery and I go 3 times a week because if I don't go, my thinking goes to shit and I'm a fucking mess. And I also know I feel like what was given to me, I have to give back.
I know, and you know what? I'm just so fucking selfish. I just don't care.
Yeah.
And that, I do care.
You really are selfish, bitch.
I'm very selfish. I know.
You're so fucking asshole.
I'm telling you right now. I know. I don't do the 12-step. I know that.
Yeah.
And it's a part of why I want to do this and share my story because, again, if it helps somebody, then I'm right. But the other stronger part of me says I did not get sober to live my life in those rooms.
Right.
I did not get sober to fucking do that.
I get that.
And I don't want to do it. And I don't want to be somebody's sponsor. And I don't want to hear Susie and Wire Gardner pissed her off today at the meeting.
Right.
If I could find a meeting with business-minded people who have got to that point of life that, like, I just can't listen to the drama anymore in the AA
Yeah.
rooms. And
I get
when I
you.
first went there, I found my people, right? Like
Yeah.
people, places, and things. Got rid of all my friends, changed my number, did it all. Fully threw myself into AA, ran the meetings, all my friends, dated the AA guys, right?
Yeah.
Did the whole thing. Years later, I get married, I have a baby, whatever, and I try to go back to the meetings, and I couldn't find my people.
Mm.
I couldn't find my people. And even though people shared their stories, and a lot of it does resonate with the feelings, I left early. I came in late. I left early. It was just not the same experience because I wasn't desperate anymore. That gift of desperation was gone.
The gift of desperation. So for me, the gift of desperation is never gone.
You're lucky.
Like I literally, because I drank when I was pregnant, it is fucking like so in me that I require myself, no matter what, 3 meetings a week.
You're so disciplined and so good at stuff like that.
But
I'm not.
this is like, because I don't want to die. Like you are like, I'm good.
But I'm also
we
like,
think differently.
I'm also like, my ego's so big that I'm not drinking just because I don't want to fucking go back. Like, it's not even about
Yeah.
the drugs and alcohol. It's just because I'm not going back
Yeah.
and saying,
Sit
I
in the
really,
chair.
like,
Yeah.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So I guess I can't drink.
Yeah.
Although I do have to share this with you. I do have to share this with you because I have to be honest.
Yeah.
Everybody in my life knows.
Yeah.
And now you're going to know.
Yeah.
My plan is at 25 years, I'm going out.
Yeah.
That's my
Okay.
plan. I'm going to do
Okay.
Molly.
Yeah.
I'm going to start smoking cigarettes again.
So
I'm going right back to party poker room.
65.
Wait for me. I got 10 more years.
Yeah.
Lexi will be 19 at that point.
Yeah.
Hopefully she's going to be set.
Okay.
And I'm going to be very rich.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to go
And
fucking
when
back out. And that's it. If I die, I don't really give a shit.
Yeah. And when you come back into the rooms, I'll be there. I'll save you a seat. I'll save you a seat, Jamie.
If I make it to 25 years sober, that's
Okay.
fucking good enough.
That would be 3 more years.
Oh
Oh
my
my God.
God.
Like if sometimes I think about like, I was in a hotel in Spain and they had these little fucking things in the fridge, like these, and I was like, oh man,
That would
no
be
one
good.
would know. Like, I mean, it doesn't even count. I'm in a fucking other country. But you know what? I know myself. I will be under a bridge, homeless, selling my body. It's that for me. That's how it will be.
That dark for you.
It got dark.
It didn't get that dark for me.
It got
It was very
dark.
dark internally, but outside, when I was at my darkest point, I was graduating at the top of my class with my master's degree in global business. Okay.
Yeah.
Just to picture how bad it was, even though I did so well at school because I had lots of Adderall. I was addicted
Yeah.
to Adderall too. And I liked learning. Like I liked that stuff. I could not, my mom and my dad got me like a limo. We were all going to do my graduation of my global master's degree. Everybody's so proud of me. My grandma paid for it. And I could not walk. We got to PNC and I could not walk because
You were wasted?
I didn't have the right amount in me.
Oh,
My anxiety started going and I could not walk.
right.
Like that's how awful it was. But on the outside, to everyone else, look at her. She's doing great
Yeah.
in school.
Yeah.
And I was just so able, and it was a terrible thing to like manipulate people and hide what I was going through. But internally, I was dying
Yeah.
inside.
So for me in the bottom, I was like homeless. Like I was
That's so
like
crazy.
crock pot in the Thunderbird.
No.
It's really bad. It's really bad to even think that like I own a home, I have children, I own a business. Like what the actual fuck? This is what I tell people. If you have breath inside your fucking
do
body,
anything.
you can do anything
Mhm.
if you're willing.
Mhm.
Like, but if the pain is great enough, you will change. For me, until I was at the very, very bottom with nothing left, that's when I was able to change.
I think that, so for me with my bottom with alcohol, it was very similar. I was at a bottom, right? But I've been able to take that principle of change. And I remember very early, I think it was 1 year or 2 years sober, and using the same principles that AA taught me to quit smoking.
Yes.
Principles.
Yes.
You can use the same thought. You don't need to wait until you get to the bottom.
No,
You just
just-
need to make a decision and you need to stick with it.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. You can have a completely different life.
But let me ask you this, and I know a lot of my listeners here are going to think this, your listeners too, all the bitches.
I got no listeners. I got no friends. Tuning in for me, and I don't give a fuck. That's fine.
This is so fun.
That is fine.
But I don't know. I lived in the miserable land of maybe for my whole fucking life. Miserable land of maybe. Maybe on Monday. Maybe I'll look up this. Maybe I'll research that. Maybe I'll go over here. And never pressing play on any fucking thing. Let me tell you, I've been thinking about doing this podcast for fucking years. I was thinking about writing a book for 10 years until I fucking press played. and I wrote a book. I've been thinking about this podcast, and you're like, well, why don't we just do it?
Yeah, no, I live in, let's do it now.
Like that's
I'll
fucking
tell you something that
phenomenal.
I've learned over
Tell
the
me.
years is that you don't need to be smart. You don't need to be an expert. All you need to do is be quick. Because by the time you have come up with a plan, talked about it with your friends and family, wrote it down, had a meeting, I've already done it 3 times, fucked up and tried it again.
Yeah.
You know, like that's it. I just execute. And if it doesn't work, I just try again. That's it. That's all. And that's how I built the business.
Let's wrap it up. So what I've learned about you, which is always execute. Urgency is key.
Urgent.
You can change your life at any time. Some tools that work at the beginning may not be for you at the end, and that's okay. You accept who you are, and you accept that you need help, whether it's medications, therapy, to be the person you are. And I love that.
Yeah. And I've learned about you that, there's other ways to do things. I sometimes am so, short focused on this is my way and this is what works for me. But no, there's other ways to do it. Be completely disciplined. Make a promise to yourself and stick to it. If you say you go to the gym on Monday, you go. That's it. There's no excuses. I don't live that way. Right. So there's perfect ways that you can do things from either of our perspectives.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Monday Shit Show. Remember to stay strong,
Stay messy,
and don't forget, you matter.